Sir, let's go to current events. The hottest issue is the martial law. Sir, you wanted the Congress to convene. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, under the Constitution, Congress must convene in joint session within 24 hours if they are not in session. Now, since Congress is in session, walang sinabi sa Constitution natin kung kailan sila magko-convene. So what happened now is that since there is no period within which the two houses of Congress would convene in joint session, separate silang nagkaroon ng resolution supporting the declaration of proclamation of martial law by the President, the Senate by a vote of 17 against 5 ata, and yesterday by the House, by the overwhelming majority of the members of the House, they both passed, the two houses both passed a resolution supporting and not revoking the proclamation of the President.
So you think that's enough, that it's separate resolutions, hindi sila nag-joint session?
Under the Constitution, they are supposed to meet in joint session, meaning to say that in one venue, just like the SONA, the Senate would go to the bigger house where they would be jointly acting on the proclamation of the President to declare martial law and to suspend the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus. Hindi nila ginawa yan. But they have until 60 days from the proclamation within which to do that because they are now in session. So, since they are in session, they have until 60 days to jointly proclaim their support of the proclamation of martial law and suspension of the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus.
So, sir, as Secretary of Justice, you really think that they should really hold a joint session?
Yes, because that is what the Constitution commands them to do, to meet in joint session. Pero hindi naman sinabi ng Constitution kung kailan, ano? So, still, this is acceptable as long as before the expiration of the original 60-day period, pwede pa silang mag-convene and declare their support. Now, the state of martial law does not suspend the operation of the Constitution, nor supplant the functioning of the civil courts or legislative assemblies, nor authorize the conferment of jurisdiction on military courts and agencies over civilians where civil courts are able to function, nor automatically suspend the privilege of the writ. Ngayon, kahapon, nagpalabas ang Supreme Court through the Office of the Court Administrator, parang inuutusan ng Supreme Court ang judiciary nila sa Marawi City, yung judge nila doon mag-hold ng kanilang session and other functions sa Iligan City. So ako naman nagpadala kahapon ng aking one of the USEC, si USEC Reynante Orseyo, para makapag-coordinate doon so that we could also establish the prosecutors. So we plan to establish 5 panels of prosecutors to attend to these cases because under the suspension of the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus, the military or any police agency has only 3 days within which to file the appropriate action against those arrested. Otherwise, they should be released. So, ang basa ko dito, kung ang courts is no longer functioning in the areas where the martial law has been declared, pwede dito na mag-create din ang martial law administrator ng military courts. Kasi kung wala nang nagpa-function. But so far, this is not yet applicable.
Sir, baka mag-cause lang ng alarm or fear yung the word military court sa mga tao.
During the time of President Marcos, they are called military tribunal. So, pwede ring, well, some other names, pwede tawagin mo military tribunals, but we are just discussing this academically. I believe that even under the present provision of the Constitution, military courts could be, or military tribunals could be created in the event that the civil courts no longer function in a certain area during martial law declaration.
Sir, given that so many of this is happening, it's only been days, shouldn't there be a need for the Congress to convene now and not wait for the 60-day period? Kasi ang dami na pong possibilities, ang dami ng implications, so dapat nang i-decide if they're going to revoke it. So they have to meet now. Don't you see the need for them to?
Well, actually, it's the call of both houses of Congress, but I believe that in their own study of the matter, they could just meet separately, and that's what they did, and support the declaration of martial law. Under the Constitution, wala naman walang timetable within which they should meet in joint session. So, as long as these are done within the 60-day period of the martial law, then they could still meet anytime after.
Sir, in a lawyers' forum in February, long before the martial law was declared, you said there could be constitutional crisis if martial law is declared. Could you explain and what changed now?
Well, hindi pa naman that view of mine has not changed. Actually, when I was supposed to speak before the Felconsa, that was the topic of my speech, but because I'm afraid that I might be misconstrued as espousing martial law, so I changed my topic. But afterwards, during the open forum, dun din pumunta yung mga questions ng mga audience.
So, sir, why would there be
there could be
crisis?
what you call a constitutional crisis in this way. The Congress is supposed to meet in joint session within 6 days or within 24 hours if they are not in session. But since they are in session, then 6 days pa pwede na. Ngayon, supposing that they meet, Congress meets, and they issued a proclamation or resolution supporting the declaration of martial law, not revoking it. Because under the Constitution, once Congress revokes the proclamation of martial law, then that's the end of it. Not even the Supreme Court could overrule it. It's very clear in the Constitution that the President could not overrule the decision of Congress to revoke the proclamation of martial law. But of course, the Congress also could support the proclamation of martial law by affirming it in joint session. Although, as of this time, they affirmed it in separate sessions. Now, supposing at this time, Congress, because they affirmed it separately, and at the same time, the Supreme Court, any citizen could file before the Supreme Court to question martial law on the basis of it is not in accordance with facts. In other words, the facts of the case does not support the declaration of martial law. Under the Constitution, they have 30 days within which the Supreme Court has 30 days within which to resolve it. Now, assuming that the Supreme Court resolves the petition and said that there's no need, the declaration of martial law is inappropriate because the facts doesn't support it, what would happen? So there is a constitutional crisis. Here comes Congress saying that we support, and Congress, the declaration of martial law is in accordance with the Constitution, and here comes the Supreme Court saying that that is not in accordance with the Constitution, the facts doesn't support the declaration of martial law. So that's the constitutional crisis which I was talking about and which I was not able to discuss during the Philcon's anniversary.
So, sir, you believe that if a petition is filed with the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court says there's no need for martial law, it's not absolute that it's the SC who will have the last say kasi merong conflict sa Congress.
Oh, kasi ito, this is my position. I believe that once Congress supports the declaration of the President, then the Supreme Court has, I think, has very little power within which to overrule it. In other words, here, because the martial law declaration is first and foremost the prerogative and power of the president. And we know for a fact that the president acts or declares martial law on the basis of the facts, intelligence reports that is not known to anybody. That's not even to the Supreme Court or to the members of Congress. And here comes the Supreme Court, and here comes Congress, who, on the basis of what they know from the ground, states that the declaration is really supported by facts. So these two departments, the biggest departments of the and most powerful departments of the Philippine government, are aligned in saying that the declaration of martial law is valid and proper in accordance with the Constitution.
Secretary, what to do to avoid a constitutional
And here
crisis?
comes the Supreme Court saying that that is not in accordance with the law. I believe that in case like that, it is almost impossible for the Supreme Court to overrule the two branches of government. Why? Because being the recipient of all these intelligence reports, facts, and ganun din ang Congress, I believe that it is only in cases where the President acted arbitrarily that the Supreme Court could prevail. Ngayon, it is under the facts of this case, under the present situation, walang kwan eh. How could you say that there was an arbitrary declaration of martial law? Ang nakalagay lang naman sa Constitution ay, in order that the President could declare martial law for 60 days, not more than 60 days, kung merong invasion or rebellion. Definitely, there is terrorism and there is rebellion. We know very well that originally this Maute group are just mere terrorists, but when they merged or conspired with the ISIS, they raised the flag of the ISIS and said that they should withdraw allegiance. Merong outbreak of violence, and they wanted to take allegiance away from the Marawi government. So that's definitely a crime involving rebellion. And so, as long as public safety requires it, when there's rebellion and public safety requires it, the President may declare martial law. So, nandiyan naman nakikita naman natin ang participation, ang pinapatay, yung mga terrorists, pinupugutan ng ulo. So, hindi mo masasabi that the President acted arbitrarily.
Sir Secretary, what to do to avoid the judiciary clashing with the executive and the legislative? What to do to avoid a constitutional crisis na sinasabi?
Well, to avoid that, of course, when a case is filed before the Supreme Court, and any time it will be filed, then we should explain to the Supreme Court that the declaration has factual basis through the Office of the Solicitor General, yan ang magdidefenda, yung lawyer ng ng ating government. Kaya't I believe that with the there's I think little need for the support to support that there is free rebellion. Napakadali niyan kasi talagang may rebellion at public safety requires it. Hindi totoo yung pag ang question natin ay halimbawa, hindi ba pwede naman kahit walang martial law pwedeng equal natin yung mga Maute, ISIS rebellion na yan? Well, pwede. Pero it doesn't necessarily mean that martial law should not be proclaimed or established. Kasi pwede namang without martial law, pwede nating gapihin yung mga yan. We could defeat them. But with great loss of lives, property, etc. So, kinakailangan lang martial law would lessen the resistance to quell this rebellion.